Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast. I'm glad to be here hosting because our one and only Steve Fredlin unfortunately couldn't be here. You're stuck with Canadian Steve. I'm Jim Reed calling in from Cobourg, Ontario. And I'd like to thank Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and of course, Website Amp and the one and only Mark Frechon. I've got a few things to tease. It's too much to really get into pre-flop. So we'll talk about most of that at the end. Why don't I just introduce the panel here and then we can get to know our guests. So panel, who's going first tonight?
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 on PokerStars and everywhere else pretty much.
I am John Somsky. I am Poker Geek MN everywhere. And tonight I have a quote by Kathy Lederer. The cardinal sin of in poker, worse than playing dead cards, worse even than figuring your odds incorrectly, is becoming emotionally involved.
And I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Rabman50 almost everywhere. And when it comes to luck, R.E. Shea says, depend on the rabbit's foot if you will. But remember, it didn't work for the rabbit.
Good words to live by. Thanks, Rob. So I'm pleased to be joined this week by AJ Rudolph from Poker Power. We've got some friends in common. We've got a lot of plans in common. And so we got connected on Twitter, that great connection device that we all love so much and sometimes hate. And so had to make it happen. So AJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm AJ Rudolph. I am the program manager at Poker Power, and you can find me on Twitter, AJ Rudolph 23. So
nice. And how did you get involved with Poker Power? And can you tell us a little bit about sort of what drew you to it and your role with them right now?
Sure, absolutely. So my background is actually in software development. That's what I've done for most of my career. But I've played poker for over 15 years, really just with friends. My husband and I started playing together. We play in a group that's some couples, and that group has stuck together and played together to this day. Although mostly we played virtually over quarantine. And through that group, I made a friend named Sarah Steffen, and she was found by this company called Peak Six Investments. And they were starting this company, Poker Power, and needed to find a female poker teacher. They found her. She's also a Chicago public school teacher, so she fit very well into this. And she started off being our first teacher. And then as things were starting to roll along, she's like, okay, we need more people. AJ, you want to come teach for Poker Power? So I was like, sure, I'll do that in my spare time. That sounds great. I mean, it sounded like such a great organization that aligns so much with me. And so I came on part-time in that regard, and just started teaching some Sundays and going to people's basements and kitchen tables to teach girls how to play poker. And then once we got into lockdown and quarantine, and we had to switch to everything virtually, things really ramped up for us, and I decided to come on full-time at that point.
Nice. That's a story that is kind of familiar for us as well. When John agreed to be our online home games director, we were doing 2 online home games a month. And now we do a little over 40 a month, John, I think, if I'm doing the math correctly. And that was a pivot around the same time, of course. People found that social experience was no longer available, playing live, learning live. Can you talk a little bit about, because I'm curious about this. So what did that training, that coaching look like in the live arena? And then how did you adjust that to doing it online?
Sure. We were pretty, low key and just like, let's get the basics down when we were live. We had a curriculum then, but it wasn't quite to the point where it is now. So, we just had literally high school and college girls sitting around a table, because that's where we started. We started really with younger girls to teach them these skills before they got into their careers and decided what they wanted to do with their life. And so it was really just them sitting around a table and we're walking them through because they had never played before. Maybe some had played with their family. And that's most of our students even today. So, we really teach from the basics from the ground up. So it was just sitting them around, teaching them what the flop, the turn, and the river is, teaching them the hand rankings and that sort of thing. However, we have come a long way since then.
Yeah, and you've got a goal to teach 1 million girls to play poker. Is that a correct way of putting it? And
yes, girls or women in general,
yes.
Those who identify as women. Yes, we do, and it's a very, very lofty goal. But we believe in this quite a bit because we think that poker teaches skills that are really important in your life. As you all know, it's a very critical thinking game. There's a lot of decision making, risk assessment, capital allocation. There's all these things you can actually learn from poker. And poker kind of gets a bad connotation. And, it really does. And in fact, it's a game very similar to chess that you can use to build a lot of skills. And the reason it spoke so much to me with Poker Power is I worked in male dominated fields. I'm a better negotiator than a lot of my female friends. I take some risks with my career. I've asked for jobs that I wasn't necessarily qualified for. It's like those stretch jobs where you're like, I think I can do this if I really buckle down. But a lot of women won't do that and won't ask for that in their career. So they're not leveling up as quickly as possible. And I truly think that a lot of that came from me playing poker and really trying to learn the game.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. John, do you have a question? I see you're unmuted there.
Oh, I just forgot to mute myself actually, but I'll jump in with the obvious question coming from me. I'm also in the tech world. I'm a computer programmer. What is your tech background?
Quality assurance.
Ah.
So you make it, I try to break it.
Nice. That's actually my background, but in home renovations and in construction. I'm the guy that comes in and tells everybody what they did wrong, how they can do it better next time. Yeah, I think it has a good coaching element, to be honest with you. You kind of need to have that kind of critical analysis and that way to find the edges and to find those ways to exploit.
Exactly. I totally agree with that.
Chris?
Yeah, I love what you're saying. I love everything about sort of like the idea of risk analysis, the idea of leadership training, the decision making, all of these things I think poker can contribute to. But you mentioned it yourself, there is this sort of like stigma to poker, right? In some circles. And I'm wondering about the challenges of like, if you can talk about how you overcome the challenges of sort of selling a program like this, whether it's to youth or to people in sort of the business world who maybe like poker, isn't that for like degenerates and cowboys, and like talk about how that plays out and how you kind of overcome that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We do hear plenty of that where they're like, I don't know. But just in talking through it, a lot of people get it. And once they, get on a call with us and we explain it to them, a lot of people get it. But, we have had people who are just not even going to touch it with a 10-foot pole because the stereotypes and the stigma attached to poker, which is really unfortunate. That's certainly, we're not even necessarily trying to make professional poker players with what we do. What we're trying to do is, somebody, if they're going through our program and we have 12 weeks of lessons, starting from, I don't know anything about poker, all the way up through the 12th lesson, if they can get through our lessons and take something they learned and apply that to their career, one of the biggest things that we hear from a lot of our women is, you know what, I negotiated myself this huge promotion, and I don't think I would have done that without the teachings from you all. And that makes us so happy, and that makes a successful person going through our program. So, that's really our outcome and our goal. And I think when people hear that, they they get it, but there is, I mean, it's an uphill battle, and it's a fight sometimes to, especially with big companies, when we're trying to work with them. It's actually easier for us to work with some mid-sized companies, because when you get up to the bigger companies, and we are working with some, which is great, there's some that still get it, and they want to invest in the women in their company. So we come in and teach their women's networks. But yeah, we have to do a lot of explaining. And one of the things we do too is, we don't play for money. We want the women to be able to just learn. So, nothing we do is for money. We run community games as well, where it's just our community playing against each other, and, it's completely free. We run them several times a day, and it's for practice. And we like to say, this is, you're committing your time, but you're not committing any of your money, and it's a safe place for you to fail. So you can try these things over and over again. You can fail here, so that when you practice them in real life, in a salary negotiation or something like that, you've got it down and you're not blowing your dream career.
I was curious, you kind of answered it in your explanation from the last question, but where do you get the people that you are training? I mean, are women just walking in and say, hey, I want to learn how to play poker? How do they find you? It sounds like you're doing some corporate things with, so you must be reaching out to different corporations and looking to train their women. But I always kind of thought it was maybe a more of an organic thing, that people that wanted to play poker just went out and found you. So how does that work?
So it has been very organic thus far. We do have some people that are just individuals that come to our website and sign up for lessons with us. We have groups that start the first of every month. So they start, and you sign up in 4 weeks at a time. We find that signing up for 12 can be like, I don't know if I can really do 12. Okay, I'll sign up for 4. And then they're like, oh, okay, I'll keep going. So they do come and sign up that way. But then we work with corporations as well, and we work directly with them and their women's networks. But a lot of who comes to us is word of mouth, because as soon as you go through the program and you get it and you love it, then you tell all your friends, which is great. So we've had repeat clients that way, and just people coming to us because, their friend did it at Morningstar, company in Chicago that works with us, and raved about it. So now they want their company to do it. And it is a fun way to do things. I mean, how many HR leadership or whatever programs have you gone through where it's like, I'm gonna click through this thing and this is really boring? This is a fun way to learn things. So
yeah, well, we're all about fun ways to learn things here at Rec Poker, that's for sure. Can you give me a couple examples of what one of those workshops or sort of one of those courses, or like how someone in that corporate environment might experience that?
Absolutely. So our lessons are weekly. It's just 1 hour weekly. We are very, very hands-on. We make sure that there is one of our instructors. We do usually bigger groups, anywhere from like 30 to 50 up to 100 in a group, and the group goes through the lesson portion. Initially all together. We do everything on Zoom right now. Although we are starting to do a little bit, I've started flying around to do some kickoffs and do the
Cool.
live portion to kick things off and actually get them playing with chips and cards. And then they roll into virtual after that. So that's been fun to be able to go back and start doing a little bit of that again. But mostly it's all held on Zoom. They go through the first half of the hour is talking through, the actual parts of poker that you need to learn, but we equate that also and make sure we talk about the examples in real life, and how you can equate this to your career. All of our instructors are female, because I think the female perspective is not something you can learn. You have to have experienced it. So, and at the poker table, it is a different experience. I was actually playing the MSPT in Iowa back in July. And I got sat at the same table as one of my friends, and he walked away from the table later and he was like, it's really interesting to see how people interact with you at the poker table. They don't interact with me like that. So that was interesting to see that from his perspective. But that's why all of our instructors are female poker players. And, we back to the hands-on part, the second half of the half hour, we throw everybody into the app and we go into breakout rooms, and we have one instructor per breakout room. So it's a full table, and they are literally walking through, making sure, you're raising here, making sure that your betting and raising amounts are correct. Don't bet 20 chips into a $2,000 pot, things like that. Really, really talking them through and being hands-on, because that's so important. If they're confused and they don't know what's going on, then they're not coming back. So that's one of the things we do quite differently, I think.
And I would like to talk more about that experience at the table, because I think, because we talk on the show a bit about how beginner players at the table often don't feel comfortable no matter who they are. And then there's this whole other dimension of discomfort, particularly for women players. And can you speak a little, you have a lot more experience with people that are experiencing that than I do. So can you speak a little to about what that's generally like, or some ways that it presents itself?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been interesting now that we have been able to get back to playing live poker, to see what the hurdles are with our community to doing that. I remember the first time I walked into a live poker room and I had no idea what I was doing, and I was terrified, and I didn't know that you have to go, sign up on this list, but you actually have to pay over here. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, this is what is happening.
Yeah, me too. The first time I went into a poker room, right?
Because you just don't know what you don't know. And so for a lot of our women, it's that same feeling like everybody has, but you walk in and it's a whole room full of men too. And so that makes it even more intimidating, I think, a little bit, and nobody wants to look stupid, like they don't know what they're doing. So we've actually found that we've been taking little groups to go play places, and that hand-holding experience is really key. They're like, okay, there's a familiar face and they're going to tell me what to do to get over that hurdle. And that's been successful, to get women to do that, because one of the things too, we can't play in a bubble, we're teaching the women to play with other women, and that's a great place to learn and try it out. But when you walk into the boardroom, it's not just a bunch of women, you're going to have to learn how to play with the men too. And that's another level of anxiety you need to get over with, and, hurdle that you need to overcome and build that confidence. So I think it's important to make sure that once we teach, we're moving them up the levels, and building that skill also.
Kind of speaking of growing that skill level, and what when I first became aware of Poker Power was one of your instructors, is it Kaina, or is it
Kaina?
Yep. Kaina had a really deep run in the WPT, and one of the things I really it was exciting and it was really thrilling that she was doing that. But I think one of the things that I really took note of was the power of the rail, that she kind of had, that virtual rail. And I'm wondering if you can talk about, some experience with that and what it's like, sort of like as your community grows, like the sort of cheering each other on and sort of growing that sort of natural base of like cheering for each other to sort of succeed.
That was so much fun. We all had a blast cheering her on. Sarah, who I mentioned earlier, once she made the final table, Sarah flew out there to physically be there also, but all of us were just, Twitter blew up, and we were cheering her on from afar. And I had actually just left Vegas, so I missed it by about 4 or 5 days. I'm like, but it is, one of the most important things I think about what we do is a sense of community. Poker in general has a sense of community, right? And so building that community with the women where they can feel that also, I think is really, really important, and have someone to cheer them on. It's unfortunate sometimes that and Kaina's had this happen where, people are not kind in comments sometimes. And I've had it happen too. Like when I was playing the MSPT, MSPT retweeted me and somebody said, I hope that I go out on the bubble.
Mm.
Like, what is that?
Mhm.
You know? And it's just like, okay, we don't need that. Let's build each other up and let's all cheer each other on, you know, and make this a community where we all can appreciate what we're doing and make our way to the top together. So it's a competitive sport, of course. Be competitive. Like, that's why we're all here. We're competitive.
Well, you know, I
kind.
didn't even know her, but like just seeing that, all of that on there, I was definitely just like, yeah, go, because it was just such a positive vibe, and it was really, I thought it was a really exciting thing. Yeah,
it brings energy to the poker community too, you know. And that was 3 women at that final table. That's amazing. So that was really fun to see that happen. So, you know, and we always say, I mean, I think as a community, there's talk of like, how do we create another poker boom? And, you know, there was an article recently, and I can't remember who did it, but was talking about one of those ways is maybe we get more women to play, and that will help grow things as well. So
yep, absolutely. Joe?
What is it about the combination of women and poker that makes this a compelling thing? You know, why poker, and why focusing on women in particular?
So we were founded by a woman named Jenny Just. She's also the founder of Peak Six Investments. And this really is her baby. And she finds it really important to bring more women into leadership. And Peak Six is an investment firm. And if you know anything about traders, you know, they also play poker. And so that really fits well for this company. And so it was a natural tie-in for her to try to bring more women into leadership in this way, because of the skills that poker teaches. And it's, you know, it clicked for her one day. The reason we actually started was her daughter was playing tennis, and apparently she was not strategically thinking about her opponent. Like, she wasn't playing as if she was playing against somebody who is strategically thinking about how to beat her. And her and her husband were talking about it, and he said, we need to teach her how to play poker. And that was the light bulb. For a minute, they kind of brushed off and then went, wait a minute, I think we have something here. So it really blossomed from there. But this is really important to her to make sure that more women are CEOs and in the C-suite and at the boardroom table. You know, our tagline is flip the table, and we mean that truly. And let's bring more women to poker. And by doing so, let's bring more women into leadership positions. You know, it may not be the only answer to doing that, but we feel like it's an answer to doing that. And it seems to be resonating with a lot of women.
Well, that's a lot of messages that our regular listeners will be very used to hearing, because we talk all the time about the value of a positive community, about being competitive, but also being respectful, about having fun and still wanting to win, and how poker is a great mirror for life and a training ground for life. And certainly when it comes to things like negotiation and, you know, as you say, allocation and risk and that sort of thing. And it's hard to learn those kind of lessons, what am I trying to say, in a way that sticks without having, like, you know, true cost associated with it. And so having these like play money home games, like we do, like I mentioned earlier, we do a ton of play money home games here, and they're one of the places where I think our members have a lot of fun because they're very active in the chat and enjoying each other's company, but they're also playing very seriously, and trying to get better and making the mistakes that they're going to make, but being more prepared when they get to the higher stakes, the real stuff. That's not where you want to be making the mistakes, whether it's in the boardroom or on the poker table, right?
Exactly. Make mistakes in the play money games.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I see we got Kim Pet Vet Kilroy is here. I'm going to give her the option to join, just in case. I know we had invited her. This is one of our Wrecking Crew members who also hosts a monthly poker empowerment group here, which also sort of focuses on the role of particularly women in the land of poker, in the world of poker.
I love that.
Yeah. And so one of the things that, and I'll give Kim a chance to sort of get acclimatized here, but we also feel that tension between being a positive experience, being a positive and encouraging poker learning community, but also training for the real world, where not everyone is positive, and there are, jerks and worse. This isn't a PG rated podcast, but nevertheless, you know what I mean. So I mean, how do you resolve that tension when you're working just with other women, to prepare them for that? And then B, how you talked about sort of like the familiar face, the hand holding experience. If we see women at the table as men when we're playing, how can we actively make them feel more comfortable, or signal to them that we are someone that at least can be thought of as a friend and not a foe in that way?
Those are great questions. So to the first one, oh, I forgot the first one already.
It was more, yeah. Well, the first one was just more about like, how do you sort of like prepare women when you're working only with women in this encouraging positive experience? How do you sort of like prepare them for that, other than just making them more comfortable with poker, I guess?
Right. So, I mean, we all know you have to have a thick skin to play in poker too. And women aren't always nice. so there, there is that. And it is a supportive community, certainly. But, it does build thick skin, I think, a little bit, even when you're playing. Like, it doesn't always feel great to get bluffed, you're like, okay, but it teaches you something. And every time, it teaches you something. So that's important. And that is one of the reasons why it's like, we're teaching you here in this safe environment, but you need to go out and also play in the real world, because like you said, everybody's not always nice in the real world. So build up that thick skin and get out there. And then when you do go play in the real world, we were actually just talking about this with a group the other day, in that it's okay to go sit at the table and be like, hey, it's my first time. And if somebody sits down and says that, I think it's awesome when guys are like, hey, if you want any advice, these are some of the things you need to worry about in live poker. And just even like, hey, welcome to the table. I think that makes a big difference. And, as opposed to, not saying anything or whatever, most of the time I felt very welcomed at the poker table, and people are nice and chatting. And, that's a great thing about poker. It's a social game also. So just that much, I think, is really helpful as a woman sits down.
Yeah, and I think most rec poker listeners are gonna not really tolerate a lot of abuse at the table, no matter who it's directed to.
Right.
But it's yeah, it's just something to be thoughtful about. How can we all kind of just make that space as comfortable as possible.
Yeah. That's to say, not to assume that it is her first time, but if she
Right.
says so,
Yes.
then yes.
Well, yes, because I mean, of course, we see people calibrating too far that other way as well,
Right.
and sort of like infantilizing people, and that's obviously not very helpful
Right.
for anybody either.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we are trying to find other ways to sort of recreate that social experience of it, because like I said, we play a lot of home games, and on Tuesday nights we have this online play and hang where the players that are playing in the home game can also join a Zoom call on a panel like this and kind of enjoy each other's company and yuck it up a little bit. You also kind of transitioned from having that live social experience into doing it more online. What kind of ways have you tried to reproduce that aspect of it, or what success have you had, like with Zoom or other things like that, to recreate that a little?
So we do encourage everyone to put their cameras on. I think that's really important. So you're not just talking to people or playing with people with a black screen, that makes it far less social. And part of poker is reading people, and you can't read somebody's expressions or tells if they're have their camera off, and it's certainly harder over Zoom than to pick up on some of that stuff, but it makes it more social, and it makes it feel more like you're all sitting in the same room, at least if you have your camera on in that way. And we encourage discussion and fun ribbing and that sort of thing as well. So
And from a strategy question, this is sort of like a meta live question here. There's a lot of conversation now. We're going to be doing a rec poker house down in Vegas for the WSOP. I know you guys are going down there as well, and you've got some plans. Well, actually, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your plans for WSOP first, and then we can get into that after.
Sure. So most of our teachers are going to be there. Most of our students are probably not. As I said, we teach beginner poker, so this is maybe a step too far just now. There's a couple that said they would come and, you know, spectate with us and come and meet us and that sort of thing. If we can get a couple playing, that would be amazing. But, you know, this is up here, and so let's play some regular live poker first. But a lot of us will be there during the ladies event. I plan on playing the Millionaire Maker. And then, assuming I'm not still in that, playing the ladies event on Monday. we'll see how it goes. So yeah, a lot of us plan to be there around that time. We will be, the Women's Poker Association is going to have a booth. We actually have a partnership with them, and so we'll be joining them in their booth. Please come and say hi as we're there. So we're doing some work together there, and doing some giveaways and just talking more about what we do and how men can support us too. They have a program called the Purple Tie Guy, which is just kind of a, hey, you know, I support women in poker and no harassment and that sort of thing. And so that's a great place for men to start. So we'll be working with that. And then I know a fair amount of us are coming back for the main event. I don't know if any of our teachers are playing the main event or if we're all just trying to satellite in. We'll see. We'll see what November looks like. But a lot of us will be there that first week of November as well.
Nice. Yeah, well, I know a lot of Rec Poker members and listeners are also kind of straddling that line between beginner player, you know, amateur novice, and then, you know, serious recreational player. And I know we've got a few members that are coming down playing in a couple bracelet events, a couple others that are going to be down there playing in, you know, the dailies and some other stuff like that. If anybody wants to join, you can go to rec.poker/road trips and you can find out details about the house there. I'm going to get in touch with AJ and some other folks over at Poker Power and see if we can do some event maybe together and join streams when it comes to sharing this awesome message with the world.
Love it. Yeah, we'll definitely have to meet up there.
Yeah, perfect. So we're both playing in the Millionaire Maker. So my strategy question to you is, what day one and how many bullets?
I am going to fire one bullet, and I am going to play the Saturday, day one. So we actually have an event, a live event for a company in New York City on the Friday. So I will be going to that and flying then directly to Vegas.
I see. Good choice. Saturday. All right, but you might be a little tired. So if I end up at your table, I'm going to know you were crushing that New York presentation the night before. Yeah, that one bullet Saturday is a popular choice. I am hearing that. So rest of the world, do with that what you will. I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, yes. I think that's probably what we're doing. Although I kind of feel like it's such a weird tournament. Like, don't you want to give yourself another bullet? Like, just, I don't know. We're gonna see how this whole thing shakes out. Right. I'm getting some good reactions from the crowd. But then why even play it in the first place? Is it plus EV in the first place? Chris, opine on this. You're looking as though you've got something to say about this. No? Okay, fine. Fair enough. All right. You all just leave me out here to dry. All right. Well, thank you so much, AJ. I appreciate this.
I have something to say.
Oh, yeah. Jump in there, Kim. Yep. Oh, might have a little lag here.
I'm sure I'm very laggy. Terrible internet here at the wellness retreat. Is the plus EV about you or about me or about the other guys? Who's plus EV and who's not? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. We're gonna be results oriented when it comes to the Millionaire Maker, I think. All right. Well, AJ, please tell our listeners where they can find you, where they can engage with Poker Power, and how they can learn more and get more involved.
Absolutely. So if you know anyone who wants to take lessons, if there's women in your life, or you are one of those women who want to take lessons with us, pokerpower.com. Like I said, we have lessons that start at the beginning of every month. And then you can also find us on socials, join Poker Power. And as I said, my Twitter is AJ Rudolph 23.
Right on. Well, Here, Kim, did you have something else there?
Yeah, maybe you covered this earlier. I just wondered why the name changed from Poker Power to Poker Power.
That is a great question. We're actually in the middle of that change right now for a couple of different reasons. One, we wanted to make sure that we were more inclusive, and some people do not identify with the her pronoun. Our mission hasn't changed. We really are still teaching those who identify as women. And it also helps with misspellings and people finding us easier. So all of those things, and you'll see that change happening over the next few weeks.
Okay, great.
Yeah, as rec poker's gotten bigger, it's become one of those things we have to be a little more conscious and thoughtful about too. Is, well, we actually do want people to be able to find us, and maybe we should be more thoughtful about that. That's the price of success. So good for you. That's the kind of problem you have to engage with right now. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, it was a good conversation. Looking forward to our next chat. Maybe it'll be in Vegas. Maybe we'll have you back on here sometime soon.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, we'll hear from our friend Jonathan Little, and then we'll pick this up on the other end.
Have you ever wondered whether you should call a preflop raise or 3-bet instead? What do you do when you have a flush draw? Do you raise it or do you just call? What do you do with ace king when you miss the flop? Are you tired of guessing about what the right play is with your particular hand? Well, my name is Jonathan Little, and I am a 2-time World Poker Tour champion and creator of PokerCoaching.com, where we offer over 1,000 interactive hand quizzes where you play a hand and then get real-time feedback from our world-class pros. Don't guess and don't stress. Just register for your free account at PokerCoaching.com/recpoker right now.
There you go. PokerCoaching.com/recpoker, folks. Please do go and check it out. And he is going to give you all your money back if you don't think it was worth every penny. What do you have to lose? So big thanks to AJ and everyone over at Poker Power. We could have spoken for longer, but we'll just have to save that for another time. Any thoughts on the guest or the conversation, or how Steve just does this stuff better?
Yeah, I think, well, he obviously does, but that's another thing. Anyway. Yeah, I don't want to see her across the table from me, I don't think. She seems very sure of herself, very, just really focused on what she's doing and what they're doing. So that's not really the kind of player you want to play against, right?
Good
you want
point.
to play against somebody who's on their phone, watching YouTube videos and not paying attention. She seems like she'd be very focused and very ready to do battle. So I don't want to see her at my table. Although it'd be fun to have her there to talk to.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And I mean, if you look at their list of instructors, is really impressive. Their advisory board is I mean, it's amazing. I mean, this is a pretty amazing organization. So it was fun to learn more about it from her.
Yeah, it's like don't, just because people teach beginners, don't close them out. Exactly. I think they know what they're talking about over there.
Yeah, and I think it also goes to show just how things that you learn in poker can extrapolate to other areas. How, the skills about understanding probabilities, just the little amount that people really understand probabilities in the real world is just astounding. And this can help out a lot. It helps out with competition. I mean, you're forced to be in competition. You cannot play poker cooperatively, at least not legally.
Yeah, I love that.
Except those tag team events, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's true. We, we learn together, but we do compete alone. And that is one of the things about poker that I like as well. But you definitely get better learning together. I know we say that all the time, but it's true. So speaking of which, talking about Rec Poker membership land, this is going to come out on September 28th, the Tuesday. If you are an eager beaver and you hear this within the first 24 to 36 hours, you can join us for the community Q&A on Wednesday, the 29th, That's free for any Rec Poker community member. It's just going to be Steve and I and whoever here on the panel wants to join us, hanging out at the usual time slot on Wednesday, 6:30 Central. It's one of those wacky months with 5 Wednesdays. So we had to come up with something wacky and wonderful to do without a book study or a focus or an aura. And this was just a good chance to talk to our community members who don't get the same kind of face time as our premium members do, find out ways we can maybe work on some live events in their area, maybe some ways we can make the website better for them, start some new groups, take our premium membership in a different direction, whatever it is that people are interested in doing, that's what we're interested in talking about. So if you are one of those folks, all it takes is an email and a smile. Go to rec.poker and sign up for a free community account there, and then hang out with Steve and I and whoever else wants to show up at 6:30 Central on Wednesday, the 29th. But that is just one little drop in the ocean of what goes on at Rec Poker. Why don't we start with John Somsky in the home games?
Yes. I had to double check to make sure I wasn't still muted. Otherwise, I was going to be pulling a Somsky. So for the nightly events, B Chip, Charles Allen won his first nightly event.
Congrats.
Stewie 13, Stuart Carriage.
Yes.
How do you pronounce his last name, Kim?
I've been going with Carriage.
Carriage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's carriage.
All right.
Okay.
He won this is in the wrong section here. He won the Tournament of Champions.
Wow.
And got the coveted
Look
silver
at
pin.
that. Look at that gorgeous thing. Yep. That's nice.
Then Rec Poker Steve.
What?
Steve Fredlin got his
What?
third nightly victory for the year.
Wow. All right. Let the big
And-
dog eat.
E.
This
Anderson,
was a skill
85.
game. I didn't know it was just a luck box thing.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
that must have been the night there were like 2 entries, right? And the other one lost power.
Well, they say that poker is a game of both skill and luck. And whenever Steve wins, it proves that there is some luck in the game.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Right?
Good point.
And
Good
whenever
point.
Chris wins, it proves that there is some skill in the game.
We need that
I don't
kind
know
of
about that.
balance. We need that kind of balance.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
true. Yeah. All right. Nice.
All right, then we have Swedish Fishy 77. Got his second daily victory of the year. Evil Roy CA.
Yes.
David Westerveld got his 5th nightly victory of the
Wow,
year.
nicely done.
Dave's been
Nicely
on
done.
fire recently, and I know he recently came across some new study materials, and I like to think that the 2 events are associated with each other. We'll just see, Dave. Let me know. Don't be a stranger.
And then, of course, we have none other than Fergie 56, Kim
What?
Kilroy,
Speaking
of
skill.
my.
8th nightly victory.
8th nightly.
Good number.
Wow,
It's a good
Well,
nicely
number.
done.
And you know what is interesting to me is last year, Kim had 0 nightly victory wins. So
Really?
but she has just taken off this year. You know, I thought it was kind of strange because she was way too good of a player not to have any victories. And now I think she might be getting a little ahead of herself. So slow down a little, Kim. Give some other people a chance. All right, then mixed events. Michael Babker got his
Nice.
daily mixed victory, first one. And then international events, we had Megger 44, Doug Drabeck. got his
Doug,
6th
back in the
international
winner's
victory
circle.
for the year. And B Chip Charles Allen
Oh.
also
Wow.
got
Wow.
another victory on his first
That's
international.
New name to me, and two
Mhm.
victories in the same week. That's pretty good.
Mhm.
As far as I haven't checked the spreadsheet, but I believe those are the first 2 victories. So to come out and get 2 victories in the same week is pretty impressive.
No kidding.
Then our LPP Sunday event, we had Roadstar 33, Randy Smith
Randy.
got his first LPP victory. So
Nice.
contact Jim at rec.poker to get your free month at
Free
Learn
month.
Pro Poker.
Oh yeah. He's in for a treat.
And then, of course, we had our very special heads up event, and that was won by Obner. Jack Burke.
Oh, nice. Way to go, Jack.
Yeah, very
way to
nice.
go.
And I feel a little bit vindicated. I played him in the second round. And needless to say that I didn't announce my name. I didn't. But I feel like because of that, I theoretically could have come in second place.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think that's
it-
true. That's 2 in a row you could have come in second place in. Oh yeah, Kim, did
I
you
played
also?
him. I played him in the first round.
There you go. We're both second place.
Yeah. And in fact, John, didn't the victor from last year, from the last session, also have to beat you to ascend the crown? It was Kelly, wasn't it?
Kelly Stork, yeah.
Yes, I think so.
She won that.
Yeah, she beat both of us to take that one. So people no one's luck boxing their way into the championship
I
here.
must really suck because I lost to John in the second round. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. It played Abner, I think, in the third round. That's right. Well, I was just kind of glad because I didn't get a bye the first round, but I did the second, so that kind of evened things out.
Burn!
Do you remember Marek Madness by any chance?
Yeah, I seem to remember that you kind of kicked my butt a little bit there.
Oh, we're 1-1. We're 1-1. We'll nearly have a rubber match soon.
Love it. I love it. Well, the next heads up match is going to be, is it the third Saturday in December, John? Do I have that right? Something like that. I want to say so.
Yes, the third Saturday in September will be our final heads up, and we will get the third person who will be participating in Marek Madness. And then Marek Madness will be sometime in the March timeframe with more details to be announced later. We're still figuring all that out.
Fantastic. That's going to be so much fun. We had such a great time doing it last year, and I know we're going to introduce the same kind of commentary level. We'll do some Twitch broadcasts. Maybe we can get Ryan LaPlante to come back and join us in the booth. We'll have a lot of fun with that. That's going to be great.
And also, everyone, just let us know what you think of the heads up tournaments. We've had it twice now. I think doing this 3 times a year is about right. Because of the waiting and because it's a shootout, it's a little bit more futzy than normal tournaments, but it seems like it gives you good practice playing heads up, which unless you get lucky or are very good, you don't get a lot of practice at. So, kind of accelerates that, but let us know what you think.
Yeah, email john@rec.poker with all your thoughts, and I usually say that to generate some email for John, but I do mean it literally in this case. We would love to hear some ways to improve that. Yeah, but it is a great format, and it's the kind of thing that you don't want to be practicing when it matters. You don't want to be thinking about that kind of shorthanded play for the first time at a final table of an event that you're excited about. So come out and join us in this quarterly tournament and get a chance to join folks like Kelly and Jack with the panel for Marek Madness when it comes around. So what else is at the top of the list, folks, to go over in membership land before we wrap it up here?
I'll just mention that we're going to be getting the final table October seminar coming, and Darrow Kearney is going to be giving some feedback and thoughts on hands that are talked about there. And so sign up if you haven't. And this episode will be coming out right before we do it, I think, or maybe we've already done it. I get lost in our episode schedules, but anyway, it's coming up. So either we've done it and get yourself in there, or
you're a month ahead. Yeah. In the other case, sign up. We'll have a sign up sheet for the next month anyway, and go and check out the forums for that. It is a pretty amazing thing we're doing now, getting this analysis layer. Not only does Chris produce this recap going over several of the hands and points, but then getting Darrow Kearney in here every week, or every month rather, to lay down his own amazing video is pretty remarkable. So come join, go to rec.poker. It's $15 a month, but you can get your first month for only $5 with the code RECPOKER. And I do encourage you to come join up, not just for the community stuff, but there are a lot of ways that you can, through us, meet other very good coaches and trainers and strategic minds that they want to meet you too, and they want to help make the recreational player pool even more informed and more fun, and able to play more and enjoy it more. So don't give up on that. Rob?
We're doing a book study on modern poker theory by Michael Acevedo. It's kind of exciting.
It sure is.
So far, we've gone through all of the tournament playing first in strategy content, and we just started into the defending. So we go first, the play first in, all the positions. Now we're going through the defending all the positions. We started with the big blind, which is like huge. I mean, there's so much nuance in the big blind. So that's basically what we talked about in our whole last session. So now we're going to be going through the rest of the positions, and it should go quite a bit quicker. Probably get through that in our next session, which will be the first Wednesday of October at 6:30. And then we'll have the next session after that, the third Wednesday in October at 6:30. So come and join us. And if you haven't, catch up. You can get the archives on the Rec Poker site. They're all there. Come and catch up to where we're at. Obviously, you want to get the book, but then catch up to where we're at. And you could jump right in and be right where we're at.
That's right. Jump right on board this moving train. And Rob's got all these slides prepared every session. And when you're watching the videos, we're constantly referencing the tables and charts and stuff in the book. So it's a book that benefits from having some friends along for the journey. It's a very detailed.
One of the things that's coming out of this is some of the people are saying, well, how do I really apply this?
Yes.
Because it's really about what the solvers say you should do for a GTO solution. And then people are asking, well, how do I actually apply this? So we talk about real life situations where this might apply or this might apply. So it's kind of good. I think it gives a little substance to the book other than just a whole bunch of theory.
Yeah, it's one of the things we do best here, right, Rob? We're not teaching anybody anything. We're just reading something together, talking about it together, and we're all kind of learning together. And even just forcing yourself to put these things into words instead of just thinking about it yourself, just by the act of sharing, you actually change the way that your brain thinks about this kind of stuff. And it's just a much easier way to learn. It's more fun too. So one quick note. WSOP is coming up. This episode will come out at the end of September. There might be some scheduling changes. We might miss an episode or something. Steve and I are going to be down there, up here, switching spots, hosting at the Rec Poker House. This gang is going to be down there for parts of it, playing and that sort of stuff. Kim's going to be down there. So keep tuned. But we may skip an episode or have something come out at a weird time or do some live recordings or something like that. If you have any ideas for ways we could do that would be more fun, email me, jim@rec.poker. And Kim, just before you jump in, also, because Steve isn't here, we gotta arrange him singing "O Canada" while we're down there. So seriously, let's start like a Twitter campaign or something. Singing Steve sings on the strip. I don't know. You guys get inventive. But I've got there's apparently Chad McVean's talking about some Canada Bar Canada that's down there on up near Fremont. So that would be
it's downtown. It's not on the strip.
Yes, right.
The B Casino on Fremont Street. Yep.
Perfect. So we could do something there. There was some talk about like having the fountain behind him, getting some of the like rockets down there. I don't know what I want to see is like, so fireworks perhaps. Yeah, Paul in the chat's saying, yeah, of course we got to get those pink ears on delivery. This is happening, people. So listen, there's a very brief window where Steve and I are both in Las Vegas. It's the weekend of the 15th, October 15th. So it's probably going to happen on the 14th, 15th, 16th, something like that. So that is and it has to happen in Las Vegas. That's the only way we are constrained. If you are in Las Vegas and you have access to some cool place or somewhere that, we wouldn't normally be able to go for Steve to sing "O Canada" and embarrass himself in front of everyone he loves and respects, then reach out to me and let's see if we can make something happen. Ben, yeah, seriously, let's make something happen. Okay. Any other thoughts, Kim?
I just wanted to say, and I hope I apologize if my internet is not good. I have been hosting some amazing women for the empowerment group. And we meet on the second Tuesday of every month. And in October, I will be in Vegas and hopefully playing in an event. So I may have to cancel that one meeting. But if I'm not playing, I'll find an amazing woman to interview down there.
Nice. And just in case there was a little lag there, that's on the second Tuesday of every month at 6:30 Central. And it's Kim hosts this every month with a different guest, the Poker Empowerment Group. And I think if you enjoyed tonight's podcast, you'd find a seat there and enjoy that as well. It's free for anybody. You don't have to be a premium member to join, but you do have to have a free Rec Poker community account, just so that we don't have a bunch of jerks bombing the place at the last minute and disrupting the conversations. So we want it to just be the right kind of people, which is why you have to get a free community account at rec.poker, which I encourage everyone to do. If you have a good attitude and you like learning about poker in a positive and encouraging space, come join the team. And I do mean come join the team. I guess I'll let us go in a second here, but we've had a few new members coming on to the Wrecking Crew lately. And I guess I should wait until we've got all their promotional pieces together and stuff so we can shout them out in some detail. But people, go to rec.poker/crew. And just see some of the folks that we're working with, some of the folks that are coming aboard because they want to share their light with Rec Poker Nation, and think about if it's something that might be right for you. It's a different platform than our premium membership. Premium membership's more about access to the community and accessing some of our learning partners and the other sites that we work with to deliver training material. The Wrecking Crew is more about sharing your story with Rec Poker World and leveraging some of those resources that we have here and becoming an even bigger part of the team here at Rec Poker. So rec.poker/crew, check that out. I would like to thank Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack and Casino and website AMP, Rob, Kim, Chris, and John, AJ for joining us, Kevin, Martha, and Paul in the chat. Thanks everybody, good night.